So this is session 3 of 4. We're playing Changing the Lost. We've got Powered by the Apocalypse pack that I've written. That this is another iteration of. We keep kind of tuning it up because we love Changing the Lost, but maybe we don't like the system so much. So this is our attempt to do that, to build on tools taken from all over the place. You may notice old friends if you're watching. So anyway, we've played a couple of sessions so far, and we're bringing in a new character for this session. We're going to build up that. So we're going to start with doing some introductions. I do want to say this is part of the Gauntlet Hangouts. This is an online gaming community. If you're curious about this, you can check us out at gauntlet-rpg.com. I also blog at ageofravens.blogspot.com. Just to tell you, we have like 100-some games on the calendar for this month, and for next month, it's even crazier. So lots of good stuff there. Please, if you're interested in online gaming, just check it out. We've also got a ton of videos on our YouTube channel there. In any case, we are starting out this session with those introductions of our characters, and we'll talk a little bit about the setting once we do that. And I'm going to start with our Darkling, Fade, and have Fade give us a 30-second pitch on who Fade is.
So Fade, in her mask, appears to be a mid-teenager, 15-ish kind of goth girl, that's very quiet and unremarkable. In her mien, she is a shadow dripping from a small dark form that you can't quite see right. In the dreaming, she was pursued by monsters through a maze constantly, and only the people who hid were able to survive. So she does shadow hiding kind of stuff. She has a picture from before she went into the hedge of maybe her parents, two gentlemen like from the 20s or 30s in black and white, looking kind of dapper. They were out camping whenever she was taken, and she wandered off into the woods at night. Entanglements.
Well, I'm going to have you hold off on entanglements for a second.
Okay.
I'm going to have everybody introduce, and then I'm going to come back around and do the entanglements.
Okay.
Okay. So let's hear from our wizened, which I always used to pronounce wizened, but anyway, wizened Echo.
So yeah, my character is Whispering Echo. I've got some reference pictures for him on the bottom of the middle column on my tab. But in his human form, he looks very pretty. I guess they cleaned him up for the CW casting. Probably more plain than that picture, but short, thin, blonde guy, mismatched eyes. In his changeling form, his skin is like multicolors of paint swirling together, always shifting and changing, and sort of a flexible feel to his skin, like latex paint that's like just dry on the top but still sort of flexible inside. He was a struggling artist who felt like he had the talent but just wasn't making it through into being recognized. And a woman came to him and offered to give him a voice in the world, and ended up taking him off into the hedge, where she, in her bright, sparkling wonderfulness, was too grand to actually have her precious words heard by dirty common people. So she collected a whole court of interpreters and artists and dancers and sculptors and all these different art forms, so that when she spoke, they would interpret it all through their sort of different forms in a mad Greek chorus, and that was how she communicated with the world. So he's had his voice sort of taken away, his identity taken away, so that he could be a perfect translator. As is sort of a theme for our group, when things get loud or confusing or just raucous, he can't quite make himself understood. His voice is too quiet to carry across any sort of noise, but he does tend to communicate through either art or just the ever-shifting colors of his skin.
I like it. Thank you very much. And then Janie Magpie is our beast.
Yes, Jenny Magpie. Her mask, she looks like maybe a early 30s woman who tends to dress very simply. She has long red hair and she tends to wear like a Henley and jeans and mocks. And she doesn't talk very much, but she watches everything. Her man, though, she has little bits of feathering. She wears sharp jewelry, sharp, very shiny jewelry. She tends to, when she's around people, grow quieter and more careful. Instead of speaking out, she will repeat what others have said. She prefers always to follow and copy what someone else has done. When she's in a panic, though, she gets really aggressive and really isn't bound by the repeating only thing. So if in those situations, but she is sort of strikingly like goes crazy aggressive, not useful aggressive always. And yeah, I think that's it. She has red hair, but that's in her durance. She slipped in much like Fade during a camping trip. She just saw something. She was camping with other people and she saw something down in an area of the woods and went to see what it was and never came back from the hedge for many, many years.
And we're in a freehold that's a small sort of New England town. It's kind of a tight group of changelings there in a compound that is next to the town, sort of a little bit isolated. Let's go in kind of reverse order. Sherry, what are your sort of relationships with the NPCs and so on? Your rival is Question So Loud, right?
Yeah, Question So Loud, who was kind of a bully, yeah, and made one of my friends, and I don't know who, maybe Fade, give him something when she didn't want to. Then for my other entanglements, I kind of worry about Whispering Echoes, and I try to get between him and Beck and Call, who's always sort of pushing on him and trying to get something from him. And I just feel like Whispering Echo doesn't have the tools he needs to deal with Beck and Call.
And Beck and Call is the Prince of Spring.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And he's a Ferris, and he expects people to, do the same things that Whispering Echo is used to, and that's the problem. So anyway, and then also a while ago, Sarah No Tears asked me to go find some hedge fruits, particular ones to essentially help heal Zetcher Mercy, and I kind of messed it up. I got something that looked a lot like it, but it wasn't that. So Zetcher's not quite healed yet, and Sarah holds a huge annoyance level with me, and since she's wizened, it's like times 10. But I owe her a debt.
Okay. And you're romantic?
This is complicated. Okay, so essentially, I know that Gloriana Twofold likes me. She's always hovering around and trying to get people to place me into her power so she can ask me for things and stuff like that, and have long, drawn-out, awkward conversations, which is horrible. But anyway, my actual crush is Songbird Rex, who I never talk to because I really like him. And but she's always so anyway.
Okay.
He loves Gloriana. So it's complicated. It's like I want to be around him, but that means I'm probably going to end up being around Gloriana. Does that make any sense?
Distinctly CW. Okay.
It's terrible.
Okay. And then Echo, tell us about your rival and your entanglements.
Yeah, so as was sort of brought up there in Sherry's, Beck and Call, the Prince of Spring, is my rival. There was an argument over a particular button of Echo's is having been forced to be this translator for so long. He's really protective of his words and the meaning of his art and the sort of the things he tries to get across to people. So there was an incident with Beck and Call where he used some of Echo's art, used his fairestness to twist its meaning and use it for his own message, and it led to an argument, and it led to minor things like Echo beating him about the head and shoulders with a painting in the middle of court. So there might have been some harsh words there.
Yes.
Just my entanglements have to do with Abyssinian Max, the Prince of Winter, my court, who also doesn't think highly of me because he thinks I'm sort of under the sway of Fade, which is not exactly true. We're motley mates, but I did help Fade steal something important from Max, which we haven't gotten into yet. And our other ogre friend, I was sort of protecting him from Max's manipulations.
Okay.
And then my romantic entanglement is I have a thing for Ashwine of the Winter Court, but he is, of course, in a relationship with Beck and Call, who you may remember me mentioning a moment ago.
All right. Super, super complicated. And last but not least, Fade, tell us about your rival and entanglements.
So my rival is Sarah No Tears, who just doesn't like me in general. She just lashed out at me all of a sudden. My other entanglements are I'm hiding something from Mr. Pinch to keep it away from Janie Magpie, probably a piece of her jewelry that she's missing or something like that. And I have dirt on what Ashwine did to Echo, and I'm leveraging that for his help in something. And I think he had added some ashes to Echo's paints so he could eavesdrop on him whenever he didn't know. And then I lied repeatedly to get close to Gray, the ogre, but their lover, Whispering Echo, suspects the truth. What stories have I spun? And let's see. I told stories about how much Gray disliked the others in the motley just to sow dissension so that he liked me better.
Nasty. Yep. All right. So we give you a ton of info there, Chris. And I'm going to apologize for that right now. I'm very sorry to throw all that onto you. But what I want to do now is talk with you about your character. So tell us who they are.
Okay. Alkaline is a waterborne elemental of the Winter Court. They don't have very much memory of who they were really before they were taken. They have a couple of flashes here or there, but basically they remember working late at a hospital of some sort. They don't remember which one or even where, and basically being taken after the lights just went out in the whole place through some sort of brownout or blackout. They spent their durance in the 17 Needles, and during their durance, they remember being used as basically a one person or thing cleanup crew. Basically, what Alkaline was used for is after the Fae that was in control of the 17 Needles did what they like to do with those needles to other people. Alkaline was tasked with cleansing the needles so that they could be used again without tainting any rituals or anything like that. Alkaline basically looks like in her mien, she looks as though her gender is generally unclear. I'm thinking as some sort of androgynous that is really tough to place and may change because her body is sort of a fluidish bubble that contains bubbles inside it. It is generally sort of semi-transparent most of the time and shifts in coloration based on the colors around it. So basically, you may see as she's walking around, you may see reflections of colors near her, some reflections of things on the other side of her from where you're looking at her, etc. And she, based on what she remembers of her durance, she has a few obsessive compulsive habits. When it comes to that, if left to her own devices and not really paying attention to what she's doing, like her unconscious habits involve cleaning or cleaning up, picking up, decluttering, etc. That's like an unconscious activity whenever she's not paying attention to what she's doing. When she's paying attention to what she's doing, she's trying to be purposefully cluttered, or basically she is constantly pushing back against that unconscious habit she developed during her durance, and is always pushing back, and will be almost like a cultivated Messi.
Okay.
Is able to focus on what she's really doing. But of course, as soon as she stops paying attention and is doing something else, is paying attention to something other than her actions, she will start to clean up. She'll start to move things around into more pleasing aesthetics. She'll wipe a countertop. They just can't stop themselves from doing that.
Okay.
So it drives them crazy. If you've ever seen in the video game Uncharted, the main character constantly has one side of their shirt untucked, and that's the kind of thing she does. She'll consciously do something to seem messy, but she has to work so hard at it that it's almost a job to seem messy or unkempt.
Interesting. And we've got some other intro questions there I want to follow up on with that. How do you think you got out?
As best Alkaline can remember, basically there came a point where all of the 17 needles had been soiled at once through some big ritualistic activity that Alkaline doesn't really know about and was never really told about to start with. She was tasked with cleansing them. However, the level of cleansing required a portal of sorts into the hedge to remove and flush the unwanted materials that were tainting the needles. And that opening into the hedge allowed her to disappear into the hedge as part of the washout.
And she's an elemental. Elementals are often very, you've talked about the messiness and the compulsion there. Elementals are often very put off from the world. What does they, it's going to take me a bit. I apologize on that.
And that's entirely in keeping with the character, is going back and forth because they don't really know and they're almost hesitant to choose.
Okay. So do you think that's what they kind of don't understand about that world, is those concepts and what it actually is?
Yes, I think that's a big part of it, because they've been fluid for so long, and never really took on even the Fae form that she currently has adopted once she's back in the world. Even her mien is an affectation. They don't really know. So they in their durance, they were just basically a glob of water that changed shape as needed to accomplish whatever thing they were supposed to be doing.
I want to ask you a different intro question than the one I have on the sheet there. are you sort of pure water, or you call yourself alkaline? So is there a sense that you are also, I mean, is the water different? Is it cleanser? Do you have a scent to you? What is that like?
I wasn't really sure how to phrase this, but I mean, based on her durance and based on the idea I had, she would almost be like a cleansing material. With alkaline, I was thinking of something that would be something that would be used as a cleansing agent, but it's not. Their body isn't pure alkaline.
Right.
It's some sort of cleansing agent.
Like lye or something like that mixed in with the water. Okay.
Yes, which also, and again, so they're never really sure exactly what they are either. Yeah. So
that probably does carry with it a strong. They've got both a physical presence of that fluidity there, but there's also that scent that's carried from those kinds of cleansers.
Really, a really sort of it can be strong at times depending on alkaline's emotional level.
Ooh, okay.
Can be more sharp if she's suffering or they're suffering extreme emotions. It can be a softer scent, but it's never floral. It's never a nice scent. It's always that sort of sharp, antiseptic, like recently cleaned hospital room kind of scent. Sometimes it's stronger, sometimes it's less pronounced, but it's always that sort of.
And who is your rival?
The one I picked out of the list because it seemed to fit was Semolina Pilchard, the distiller Wizened of Spring, who had raided a store of hedge fruits that Alkaline had been saving.
Okay.
Those things were difficult to get, and she was very frustrated that they had been taken.
Awesome. And tell us about your entanglements. If you want, you can just pick one from the general entanglements and one from the romantic. That'll be enough to kind of give us something to work from.
Okay. I will say that the first entanglement she has is with Question So Loud, the Storm Soul Elemental of Summer. Question So Loud generally gets, weirdly enough, gets Alkaline access to her favorite glamour emotion, which is weird because she's Winter Court, but they, through their actions, have an access point to that.
Okay.
At the expense of that, I think their requirement is that he sort of pushes away others from the Winter Court, or maybe I'm trying to think of I didn't see really any Winter Courts in the general NPC list to kind of work in.
There's the Prince of Winter, Abyssinian Max. There's Ashwine, who's been mentioned.
Let's say he's basically requiring, in order to get the ready access, he's requiring that Alkaline kind of push the Abyssinian Max further away than he generally should for his political purposes.
Okay, that sounds good. And what about romantic then?
This is tricky. I like the first option under there, which is keep going back and forth between two objects of affection. And I'll say one of them is Question So Loud, because I like that sort of dichotomy there. They're really bad because of the first thing for him. And the second one is Hopscotch Takebacks, who is a grifter, and they're really bad for him because they tend to want Alkaline's help without actually reciprocating.
Okay.
They're really bad about basically convincing Alkaline to basically give them something for nothing, which puts Alkaline in a lot of trouble because generally Takebacks only wants to make things one-sided with everybody. So when other people see that Alkaline's involved with Takebacks in any way, shape, or form, like every time she's ever helped him, it always creates at least 2 bad relationships out of that one.
All right. That sounds great. So what I want to do now is I want to roll us into. I'm going to frame a little bit of where the previous session ended, and then I want to kind of frame up a couple of paired scenes to see where we're at, and we'll kind of roll out from there. Any questions before we get going? Okay. Then what
I had one real quick.
Sure.
Just because I don't remember exactly how the elemental worked, but does he get 2 moves to choose along with the 2 elemental effects?
He gets the Primal Forces gets the 2 moves from the elemental, and yeah, you should have another elemental move.
Oh, I thought I just picked one. I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, the starting move actually, I always forget to do that. It gives you those 2 elemental effects, and you get 2 others.
Okay.
2 other. You can take 2. You can take 1 other move, or you can take 2 additional elemental effects.
Okay.
And you can also take from Winter Court moves if you want. So, Janie, we're a couple of days. Does that make sense after the incidents with the hole?
Yes.
We're still in the middle of the Ren Fair.
Yes.
What do you think you've told people about what happened there?
I've told them nothing.
Okay.
If they ask me things, I just repeat back the last 3 words of whatever they've said with a question, rising question, or a sort of, assent sound, but I really haven't told them anything.
Okay. And there's definitely been some people trying to find out what happened to Gray, because your ogre is missing.
Excuse me, I can't even think about it.
Okay. So you're trying to get back into something like a normal routine.
No.
No?
No. I am trying, because there were people that witnessed what happened.
Mm-hmm.
So it's since it's really hard to explain what's happened, it's pretty much like I'm trying to pull the people that saw it together to get someone who will to get a group that will do something. She doesn't know what, but since she can't say it, it's that she keeps bringing Whispering Echo and Fade and any of the ones that were rescued kind of back together if she can.
Well, let's frame a scene.
Does that make any sense?
Let's frame a scene with you and Fade.
Okay.
And you've kind of pulled Fade there to maybe talk more about this. You've got those boxes of photos, including the photo that Fade lost there. So where do we find of you? Where do we find you when the camera comes in?
I think that we probably would have taken all the photos back to our hollow and essentially, which I think we decided was a huge willow tree.
Okay.
That was sort of down by a pond that doesn't serve much purpose anymore. And so I'm guessing that where we are is in that hollow somewhere in one of its places. I think of it as having lots of stairs that are going around. It always looks like you're in the middle of a big round room with stairs going up the thing. Even when you go through one of the little doors in the stairs, there's another round room with stairs going all the way up. It's one of those little rooms, like a parlor room that we've made. It's the parlor because we've got a Parcheesi game that's ancient that's sitting on one of the tables there, and some chairs.
And Fade, Gray meant a great deal to you, and Gray is gone, but you've got this photo back. So what do we see of your manner or expression or so on here?
So I think on screen what we actually see is that Fade is very, is hiding the whole time, hiding. No one's seen her. Everything's gone until I think that Janie pulls out this box of photos, and I think you start to see the shadows kind of slip towards it, and then pull back, and then it's a very hesitant thing, and then suddenly, Fade is right there next to the photos, kind of kneeling down along with Janie, and they kind of start to go through them, one by one, as we're looking at pictures of other, like pictures from the 80s of kids, and it's just weird. There's so many.
And of course, Janie's never seen your picture, so she doesn't know which one is yours. So every one that she moves forward, she stops. Then if you don't do anything, she moves to the next one. But she doesn't, she's just sort of waiting to see if any of them are it. And when we come, yeah.
Go ahead.
When we get to your picture, I'm not sure.
Yeah, I think Fade, snatches it and
Okay.
Pulls it close to her and just holds on to it. Yeah.
Okay. And I think Janie kind of claps her hands.
And I think Fade looks contemplative for a second. And then she reaches off into a shadow and pulls out a little piece of jewelry and sets it down and kind of pushes it across to you. This is something that I was hiding for Mr. Pinch.
Ooh. And I think Janie looks at it and she goes, huh. and she picks that up and holds it and looks at it. You can tell that she remembers it, but doesn't quite remember it. Like she has to get used to it all over again and try to figure out what it is that it was tied to. And probably a ring, one of many of her pinky rings, so taking that and adding that on and looking at it.
Let me ask you this, if I may, in the middle of this, as you've been looking at these pictures, been kind of going through them, beyond the picture that you found of Fade, Janie, is there anything else that you have noticed, a particular picture or a pattern among the pictures, or something here as you've gone through these?
I think one of the things that's striking is that they're all pictures of a child or an adolescent with adults. Sort of a thing of maybe usually like that there's like an event happening, they're like holding awards or they're at a special place, it's got that sort of thing of this moment immortalized, like mostly families, it looks like. Sometimes it looks like coaches and things like that. So it has that moment of a special commemoration.
Yeah, so very clearly they were sorting, the Hobbs were sorting these out, these photos that they stole for a particular reason. Fade, is there anything that you notice?
Yeah. I think that as we're sorting through, I see a picture of someone I recognize. And I snatch it away too, but I'm not sure who.
Okay. What does the picture look like?
I think it's basically like in the 80s, a group playing that, is on the football field. There's a scoreboard behind them. It's like a coach, like what Janie said, who, they are hoisting up this teenage boy during, who's in football uniform and all of that kind of stuff at the end of the game. And they've taken this celebratory photo.
All right. I'm going to cut away from you two. I'm going to come back in case you want to play out a little more of that scene, but I want to cut, if that's okay with you two. And I want to cut to a scene now with Alkaline and Echo. And I want to hard frame a little bit here. The Ren Fair is going on. Echo, you kind of abandoned your post in the middle of this with the whole situation where you guys dove into the hedge and all that.
I upgraded my post, and then I abandoned that one.
That's right. You did. Before I frame this in, so the Ren Fair is something that the Changeling Freehold puts on as an event to generate money, and it draws in tourists in the tourist season from New England, and they've got all the classic Ren Fair bits and things. Let me ask Alkaline. Alkaline, what do you do? What's your job during the Ren Fair?
I think Alkaline's job is probably involves basically check-ins for folks that are there to sell goods, like the folks who would run like the ale shops and various carts and things like that. So she was checking folks in and making sure that they had their paperwork ready in case Department of Revenue or somebody showed up to check on vendors and things.
Okay, keeping things in order, so on. So you two are there, and Abyssinian Max, the Prince of Winter, has sat the two of you down and is chatting with the two of you. He's been playing good Prince for the first part of this conversation. It brought some extra the turkey legs, the pesto ones. Put that over there for you. And he's been chatting, and eventually he says, "Now," gets his little cat bowler hat over, gets the little claws. He says, "Now, Alkaline, you've been kind of avoiding me. Give me the wet shoulder, as it were." Agree? Disagree? Agree to disagree?
I wouldn't necessarily say I've been avoiding you, but I did get this really involved thing that I have to keep up with the festival. I've got to follow all these vendors around, and if the folks from the Department of Revenue show up, I got to have this paperwork ready for them. Otherwise, they're going to start shutting our vendors down. It's gotten me really, really, really involved, and I didn't really want to do it, but I did it in the interest of making sure everything went off without a hitch. And
then you say that, and look, it's like nothing happened. It's like water off a duck's back. There, we're all gone. We're all good. Sounds great. I have no problem with that explanation at all. Now, I have a question for you, Echo.
Echo looks, sort of distracted and sad and definitely preoccupied with the whole gray thing, but he also finds a little bit of time to look worried.
So I went out of my way to help you. And I went to another prince, stepped forward, put my reputation on the line, because you came and asked me for help. And you wanted a position more befitting you. And I got you out of that position that you hated over into a position where you could have some time to yourself to think.
And I think Echo, he pulls out a sketch pad and begins drawing real quick, and it's a picture of that, what was it, like the haunted house or the House of Mirrors or whatever, where he'd been assigned to play with the colors of the wall and make sort of living mosaics that scared people appropriately through the house. And I think it's the scene from the outside of that house mirrors with this just like group of patrons screaming and running in obvious terror from these black dripping holes of walls that are just these infinite vertigo nothingnesses. And there's like Beck and Call standing there yelling at Echo outside of it, and just the scene of, you know, sort of I tried, but look what happened sort of thing.
Oh, I do love your editorial cartoons. And he kind of tears it off from the pad and sets it down. That is hilarious.
There's sort of this thing of like, it's not my fault I was asked to stop doing that right now, please, and get out.
So, I have a task for the two of you. Task that will redeem you both in my eyes. Now's the time you should be saying, "Oh, please, absolutely, Prince. We would be more than happy to do that," rather than this quiet, calm, sulky silence.
We'd be happy to do that, Prince.
Yes.
Echo turns a resigned sort of grayish blue of, yeah, fine. What is it?
There is a fellow who is passed out in one of the porta potties. He's apparently stuck in there. I need him taken out, and I need him cleaned up, and I need him to be placed gently somewhere else.
Echo is turning greener and less sure as he goes through that description.
Such a simple task. Do you think you two can do that for me?
Echo pulls out his sketch and does another quick one of like little small Echo trying to drag like a big person who won't fit through the door of the porta potty with a thing of like, don't you think maybe there's someone else more appropriate?
Yes, but they're not here.
Oh, Echo looks really sad again.
What do you think, Alkaline?
Alkaline looks resigned to this, unfortunately, entirely psychologically appropriate thing for her to do about cleaning up, and sort of bubbles nervously, and then says, "We can do that."
This is the best thing I've heard. I appreciate that you two are willing to serve your court with these difficult tasks in these difficult times, especially in such an important portion of the year. And we'll cut to you two in front of the porta potty and opening the door and seeing this werewolf jammed into the porta potty covered in werewolf vomit. And we'll cut from you two. So let's come back to you two. Janie, Faye, do you want to continue on with that scene, or should we move you somewhere else? What do you think?
Let's go somewhere else.
Okay. So one of the things, let me do a little bit of individual then with you.
Okay.
Okay. I'm going to start with Janie. Janie, again, your task in the Ren Fair is?
Well, essentially, I was a person who helps with the apple bobbing, which essentially is right outside the bars and stuff. So it's just to give people something to do once they get good and drunk. And we try to keep them from drowning. But essentially, she's just sort of the person who sets the barrels up and gives them the thumbs up.
And there'll be that moment when this shadow falls over you.
Mm-hmm.
And you will look up, and again, you can see the shadow of a changeling. So you can see the wing and the snake and the sort of the great big form, and Songbird Rex is there, kind of looming over you.
Okay. And I think that's the thing is that she has this job she's supposed to do, but when it's Songbird, she forgets all about it. It's just like, oh, hi.
So, heard about Gray.
Oh, Gray.
So, you didn't leave anything behind, did he?
Did he?
Like maybe did he leave behind a Zune? Little Zune?
Soon.
Yes, I think he took my MP3 player.
And she looks up at him into his eyes, and she's like,
And to you, he's beautiful, remember?
he is. That's it. She can't, say no to him or lie to him.
Why
All
don't
she can do
you
is
roll
Oh,
inner turmoil?
why would you make me do this thing? I made the turmoil. What do I roll on this? This is terrible.
You get to choose what you think you would roll with. Looks like all your stats are clear.
Yes, I was fortunate. How about I will try to keep my calm?
Okay, so roll with humanity.
Okay.
Would you like to copy the roll for your party link?
Yes, I would.
I'm going to paste that into the thing.
Thank you.
Right there.
Hadn't occurred to me. Okay, here it goes. I'm adding 1. So that gives me a 7. I just sneak through.
So you have a choice there. You can retreat, flee, you can mark clarity, or you can mark your calm.
I think I'll mark my calm.
Okay.
And I'll probably break down in tears.
Okay.
And I'll probably go, Gray! Just start crying.
All right. So you mark your calm by doing the drop down on that. So he'll retreat away from you at that point, and you will see him kind of back away, like he didn't expect that reaction. And you will see Gloriana Twofold, and she is giving you the death eye.
Really?
Again, she's got those flagons, and she kind of looking at you, and she doesn't know what's going on there, but she knows that something weird is happening. She's not sure who to be angry at or not angry at.
It's okay. I'm actually missing Gray horribly right now. I have no calm left, so I'm sort of sobbing, putting the apples in the barrel for the next guy, and then sobbing some more.
Songbird Rex backs away. Okay. I bet I'll talk to you later. If you see a Zune, okay. And he goes away. Let's cut to Fade. So Fade, you have been involved in a number of things, and so I do think that this is probably the point at which, narratively appropriately, Mr. Pinch shows up. And tell me, we've got that picture of Mr. Pinch there. He's the smoke scene elemental, so he probably roils over to where you're at. He probably runs essentially the Ren Fair hookah stand for the place. Putting the honeyed tobacco and things, and he roils over to where you're at, and he's like, "Hey, Fade."
And I think that the way that things normally happen is, of course, Fade goes away, right? And she, maybe she even pretends to scare people like she's supposed to, but she slips away from shadow to shadow. And I think that he has no problem because he's a smoke form elemental following her and showing his intent. Yeah.
Kind of stalking her, drifting behind until finally you can't kind of ignore him. And he's like, "Hey, Fade."
I think we're in a sunny place, like maybe an open courtyard and that kind of stuff. And Fade's like,
the sun, it burns us. Hey, how are you doing?
Fine.
Good. So, hey, I'm gonna need that ring.
And I actually reach into shadow and I feel around and I pull out nothing. And I'm like, it's gone.
It's gone. I am taken aback. Why is it gone?
Whenever I went into the hedge and I was really hurt and it was really bad, and it helped get me out, so it's gone. It went to them.
Oh, that seems really terrible. Really, really awful. But we made a promise to one another, right?
Yes.
Good. So it seems to me like you're going to pay me back for that, right?
Yeah. What do you need?
I want you to get something else from her.
Oh, okay. What do you need?
Any other piece of jewelry. Just I want you to take it from Janie without her knowing. Bring it to me.
Okay. Oh, okay.
So you agree to honor our debt?
There is a move for breaking debt, is that right?
Yes, there is. In fact, you could refuse to honor a debt. Would you like to try to do that?
I don't know how this would actually work move wise, but I was thinking what I would actually do is try to pass off something else as Janie's and break the debt. But he wouldn't. He would think that he had something.
That is a good fiction for refusing to honor the debt.
Okay,
that's perfect.
Yeah. But it would happen kind of in the future. But I don't mind, going through that now.
Yeah, we roll that now.
Yeah, let's do that.
So what do you want to roll this with?
So
we need to do some scenes to clear some of your conditions after this, don't we?
Well, I think I've been marking conditions whenever I failed rolls. And I have a fix for that. Which is the move that I took was whenever I advanced multiple times last session was I took Panic Room, which one of my choices to clear is the clear condition. So I can fix that.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's just perfect.
Yeah. So, so I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to try and steal one of the. I'm going to try and steal a piece of jewelry off of the. I'm going to try and steal a piece of jewelry off of a patron, a customer.
Okay.
Right. Like whenever they jump out, and jump scared. Whenever I jump out and scare one of the girls or something, I take an earring. And she feels this sharp pain and runs away scared and everything. I think that's what I'm going to try and give to him.
Okay.
And I think this is going to be fear-based.
Sure.
Because I'm really scared he's going to figure it out.
Okay. Let's have you roll with fear. Okay. And I think Sherry is also right that probably getting your photo back would have at least cleared, you would clear another one right now.
Okay. So I got a 10.
Okay.
Is that move on the situational moves tab?
It is on the situational moves tab. It's just after cash in a debt.
Okay. I'm sorry, I was on the basic moves and was
oh yeah,
around.
absolutely.
Okay. Okay. So let's look. Oh, I still owe the debt.
But you weasel out of this.
Yeah. Okay. Okay.
So there is the thing where he will take it and he will maybe note that it is not exactly what he asked for, and he will say, "So this is a down payment?"
Why? Yeah.
Oh, okay. I understand if you're in a tough place. We can put this off for a while. Is that okay?
Thank you. That's very nice.
I am the sweetest, kindest of all people.
Oh, okay.
I'll talk to you later about stealing things from your motley mates.
Okay.
And he will smoke out. So let's cut back to Alkaline and our friend Echo here. This is not a new porta potty. This has seen some use over the years, and it is kind of jammed in with this werewolf, awkwardly drunk and out, stuck in there. So what do you two want to do?
Like passed out in there?
Yeah. And he's sticky with werewolf stick.
No, I got that one. I think for the first couple of minutes, Echo is just standing there, like turning back and forth between the porta potty and Alkaline, and opening his mouth like he's about to say something, and then just this consternated look comes over his face, and he goes back and forth to looking, and so he pulls out his sketch pad and starts drawing like unpleasant pictures of this and trying to get ideas of the dimensions of the werewolf and how to get it out through the door, and I'd like to study the situation.
Interesting.
How big is the werewolf, like size wise? Just
so he's like because you are kind of seeing the werewolfiness of him, and he's and probably we'll have to determine how much you guys know about werewolves. The form he shows here is fairly big, like a good 8 foot, which is bigger than people ought to be in a porta potty.
Okay, so I guess that's one question. I was sort of assuming changelingness, but is this not a changeling? This is a werewolf?
Yes, remember, they live out in the woods and hate you guys.
Nice.
That's something you guys established. So let's have you make that study roll, and maybe you can establish some other facts about the werewolves.
So he's not going to be covered by like a mask, is he?
Let's find out. What do you want to roll study with?
Well, it's not calm. That would be helpful. I guess fear. There's definitely some worry about waking up a drunk werewolf, and autumn is the court of magicalness.
That seems perfect. So let's have you roll that.
It's a 9 + 1 is 10.
10. So on a 10, you get 2 hold from that study list, which allows you to ask a question about a situation, about a person, or reveal a detail, which significantly change or adds to the established fiction. So let's have you figure those out, and then I'm going to cut to at least one of those.
Yeah, sort of the what happened here recently, but did he just drink a whole bunch of beer, or is there something else going on here with his passing out?
No, this is the problem. He like the changelings, actually, they can decide whether they want to be drunk or not, unless they drink something special. You know that werewolves are strong, so somebody has clearly slipped him some kind of glamour-based beverage, some kind of hedge fruit-based liquor or mead or something that has knocked him out. So this is not just he drank a lot.
So I hold up a colored sketch of it's this big like crystal flask full of beer, and the picture is sort of glowing and sparkling with little motes of rainbow colors around it.
Oh, Jesus. Someone slipped him a hedge fruit Mickey.
Yes.
Oh. So not only do we need to get him out of this porta potty, we have no idea what else and what other effects this thing may have had on him.
Uh-huh.
Patrick, do you have another question or a declaration?
I'll go ahead and ask my free question, and then
That's right.
Then Alkaline can do something while I'm thinking about the last one. But yeah, what is his greatest sorrow?
His greatest sorrow is that the werewolf that he loves has married another werewolf, and that's what's driven him to drink deeply and come down here. Is a bad breakup.
So yeah, I think there's another picture that follows that's like two very tall, very hairy people with like ears sticking up from the top of their head, but wearing like a white wedding dress and a traditional tuxedo, standing out in the middle of the woods getting married. And then there's this guy off in the corner of the painting, just like ripping his shirt open and howling at the moon.
Really?
Do you want to say?
Really?
What are you gonna do, werewolves?
Let me come back for your. Let me come to Alkaline, and then I'm going to come back to your third thing. Does that sound cool? Getting weird lag today.
I'm sorry. Yeah, that's fine.
Okay. It's probably on my side of things. Anyway, let's come to Alkaline. Alkaline, you see that Echo is kind of studying the scene and doing her crime scene sketches, or courtroom sketches. His what is Alkali? His thank you. His what does Alkali do?
Alkali is going to examine the werewolf and see if she can take out a small flask and see if she can get any sort of sample of the whatever hedge fruit brew was used.
Okay.
There might be some of that around that she can use and maybe analyze.
Okay. I think that's a pretty good one. So it does seem like that's a study move to me.
Yeah, I would think so.
Okay.
So I would roll.
What do you want to roll with?
This is where it gets a little tricky. If I'm remembering correctly, we just choose whichever one of these we think is most appropriate for what we're looking at and how we're feeling about it, right?
Absolutely. It's a little bit like the Veil or like approaches from Fate Accelerated.
Okay. I think uh, I think they're going to use fear. This is worrisome. Not only that we have a werewolf who's probably not going to wake up in the best of moods if we screw this up, but there might also be people looking for this werewolf who are also werewolves who might show up and take unkindly to the fact that someone got this werewolf crazy, pass out drunk at our Ren fair.
Yes.
So we are worried.
Have you roll.
Okay. 8 + 1, 9.
9. So you get 1 hold for the study move, which allows you to ask a question about situation, person, or reveal a detail.
Okay. Let's see. So I pick one of the questions from the study move list here.
Yeah, and it's a general one. You get to frame the question however you want.
Okay. What hedge fruit was used in this brew? It had to be something fairly potent, so that's probably a relatively short list of something that would have this kind of effect on something like a werewolf.
Yeah. So it's a thing called the Hades plum. And it does come from your orchards that you have sort of out and hidden into the hedge. It creates a deep sense of slumber, but not a peaceful one. Essentially, it's kind of an unpleasant hedge fruit in that while this werewolf is asleep, he is having nightmares.
Oh no!
And quite potent ones. He's in deep enough slumber right now that he's not, freaking out. But he's probably not in a good space there.
Is there a? I don't know if I have.
There are two people who will know about this the most amongst the freehold. One is Sarah No Tears, the very nasty tempered physiker. And the other one is Semolina Pilchard, the brewer.
Oh. Ugh. And she's a pilcher of hedge fruits. I wouldn't put.
She uses them for things.
No, she's a pilcher of them. I wouldn't. Lots of emotions sort of bubble through. So the liquid that makes up alkaline sort of bubbles and color shifts, and her scent basically spikes a little bit as she's puzzling through this. And then she turns to Echo and says, "This was made with Hades plums. This is whatever this stuff is giving him nightmares in the same space as keeping him slumbering. But we've only got a matter of time before he gets into a possible like night fears, hallucinations type thing where he starts flailing around or worse, sleepwalking or sleep monstering through our Ren fair. We need to get someone who can help us figure out some way to get him some sort of antidote quick. I've got 2 ideas, and I don't really like either one of them. I know of Sarah No Tears from the Winter Court. Probably knows a little bit about this sort of thing. Help fixing people who are sick is kind of one of the things she does. The other option is Pilcher.
He'll sort of take your sleeve with a look of like, hey buddy, it's a little worse than you imagined. And you see where he's gone through like several pages in the sketch pad, like trying to focus in on something that was bugging him, and he holds up a picture now that's like zoomed in to the top of the porta potty, where there is oddly a light fixture installed there. And this is my third hold I'm going through. And he's drawn this close-up picture of the light bulb, which is like oddly shaped and made out of like hand-blown glass. You can see little bubbles in it, and inside of it, rather than a filament, normal filament, there's like this crescent moon shape that's glowing with this silvery light. And as he's showing it to you and pointing at it and the werewolf, like he's saying, someone put this in here to make sure that when the werewolf woke up, they would be in their form rather than just a drunk asshole.
And that seems like a great place for us to cut. And a great place for us to take the 5-minute break at mid-session. So let's do that.
Nice.
We'll come back with Fade and Janie and see if we can entangle them in all of this. Sorry, I was killing some processes to see if that helps with the lag that I'm getting. Weird. So let's come back to you, Janie. Do you have something you want to do, or shall we frame you over closer, or shall I pull on the other thread of this?
No, I think go ahead and frame me closer. Let's move into this. I'm thinking right after I break into tears, I'll go and take a break because I just can't pull myself together. So I'll take a break off the thing, and I will go wander away from all of this.
And what brings you probably close to see Alkali and our good friend Echo doing this is probably the smell that wafts out from the open door of this porta potty. It is carnival musk and vomit all sort of roiling out in an almost visible miasma that will hit you where you are near the unpleasant section of the campground there, the Ren Fair, and you are a little surprised when you clear your eyes from watering to see Alkali and Echo, God, and Bono too, Alkali and Echo over by the portable toilets.
Okay, this smells like a foul thing, something from beyond the hedge. So I will approach cautiously, but I do feel somewhat protective of Echo because I just lost Grace. So she is trying to make sure Echo's okay. She's like, Echo? And she comes closer, but she's got her hands up like she's trying to hold the smell away.
And I think now the two of them have been standing there for a couple of minutes just considering like what to do, and Echo is unconsciously picked up a tick from Alkaline where they're shifting in almost matching colors now, and you see like these little images of bubbles burbling up all over him to sort of match what Alkaline is doing, and he turns and looks at you, looks at the werewolf, looks back at you, and his eyes shift from their blue-green into like these yellow-orangey with slits going through them, and you almost see whiskers come across his face, and he just says, "Meh."
Oh, Abyssinian. Okay. And she sort of looks into the porta potty, and she's like, and she's doing the thing where she's like trying to hold her hands up away. It's almost it's like the smell is so palpable that it feels like that she has to keep her hands out of it. She turns back and she goes,
and we'll go through a like flip show through the book.
okay.
A little cartoon sketch of Abyssinian Max at the table going, "Rah, rah, rah," very angry at the two of you. And then us standing out front of the porta potty, and then my sort of like studies and realizations along the way there.
I want this to play like an old school Nickelodeon, like he's just
Awesome. Okay, good. And then she gets and she sort of stops and goes, no tears?
Or he'll hold up the picture of the drink again with the sort of shake like, there's some Melina.
And she pulls a face.
I don't have any problem with her.
Let me cut from that discussion.
That isn't a discussion. It's a pantomime.
That planning meeting. To Fade. Fade, would you like to catch the other shoe?
Sure.
All right. So you made your way away from Mr. Pinch. And again, you described yourself as kind of being in the bright sunlight there at the end of that scene.
Yeah. Very shaken.
Yeah, shaken. And you'll kind of look over and you see coming in the entranceway of the Ren Fair, you will see these guys, probably a couple guys and a woman, and they have that weird look. So I imagine that when you see these werewolves in human form, that you probably see the outline of the wolf on them. That's a thing. What's another detail? I mean, about either how they look at in terms of their werewolfiness, or how do they dress? These are people that live out in the woods, kind of don't like you guys. So tell me something about them.
Well, so typically Ren fairs have places where you can camp outside of them, and these people are easily mistaken for the campers who come to Ren Fair. And I try to encourage that, even though they live, even though they live out in the woods. But I think the thing that I notice most is that while they come across, and I can kind of see the outline of the wolf and their form, their shadows don't match upright humans. They are loping, four-legged beasts as they walk along behind them. It's very frightening. And typically Gray keeps these people out. So I look around for him and then look really sad.
And that's the thing is you guys are still not certain whether these are people that become werewolves or if they're wolves that become people. That is a matter of debate amongst the freehold. But you're struck because there's so many people here and so many people with jobs that they're focused on that it doesn't look to you like anybody but yourself has kind of noticed this trio coming in.
So I think what I need to do is look around for who's in the biggest position of power, and then go scare them so that they notice the people who came in.
Okay. So who is that?
Let me look at the NPC sheet real quick. Well, who's my? I'll be. I think that the infirmary tent is right there next to the entrance, and this is probably Sarah No Tears. Yeah.
So you're going to go and scare.
Yeah.
Sarah No Tears, who you don't dig. All right.
That's right. I think this is desperate. Basically, I get between her and these people who had just walked in, and then reach out from the shadows and kind of, "Ugh." And as soon as she turns and sees me, I'll get out of the way so she also sees them.
Okay. So do you think I think we're probably using the Haunt the Darkness move from you.
Oh, sure. Okay.
You're trying to do something, trying to change the situation. So you get to roll with advantage because you described yourself as coming from the shadows.
Okay. And that's a conflict, so I get to pick. What would that be? I think I'll roll with sorrow at this point, because I really miss Gray, and I think
That seems perfect.
That would be the right roll for him. Hey, that was pretty good. That was a 13.
Okay. So you can remain in shadows, so she doesn't realize what has happened. And what is it that you want to have occur here?
So first of all, I want her to. I want to get what I want from them, which is she notices the people coming in and the danger associated with them.
Okay.
And Ooh, I'll create an opportunity.
Okay.
Yeah.
How do you want to do? What do you think that opportunity is? Is this to kind of get clear to get to your companions or something else?
Yeah. So I think it's actually, she. It was Abyssinian Max who actually sent them to the toilets, right?
Yes. Sent them to the toilets.
Yeah. Maybe
Get
she.
to the toilets.
I wonder if she actually knows about that. About that assignment or something like that. So
Okay.
she might grab them as backup.
Okay.
Is that it?
You get one more pick. You can give yourself advantage on your next roll if you want.
Yeah, okay, I'll do that. That sounds good.
Okay. So we'll say that we're gonna put you into the scene at the end of what comes from them. We're gonna cut back to them and to Alkali and Alkaline and Echo, formerly known as Edge, and we're gonna figure that out, and then we'll bring you in on that. Okay. So. Janie Magpie has shown up. Now there's 3 of you to deal with this werewolf who's in a moonbox porta potty, suffering from nightmares, asleep with drugs given to him by a changeling.
I'd like to point out that if anybody's going to be base, it's going to be Alkaline.
Thank you. Chemistry humor.
Okay. All right. Alkaline looks at Echo and Janie and looks back at this thing and says, all right. First things first, we need to get the werewolf out of this box so that we can get rid of that light. If the light is removed, maybe, I don't know how this shape-shifting thing works, but maybe it's only a wolf if it's stimulated by that light thing.
Echo holds up a comparative picture of the door to the porta potty and the much larger wolf.
Yeah, this is going to take some doing. What Alkaline wants to do is, one of the things she can do is actually call her element, and she wants to basically see if she can call up a version of the element that will actually help her or help them slip this werewolf out through that doorway.
Ooh, I like that.
Oh, like silicone gel.
Yeah, or like, you know, dishwashing liquid. The universal, like, we need to get this crap. we need to get this stuff moving. Lubricant for household uses.
Yeah. How about this? Let me suggest a way that we can do this. Stay strong is our usual sort of do a thing under pressure action.
Okay.
How about, because you're using your call element, we give you advantage on that?
Okay. Now, if I'm remembering, the advantage is you receive like a +1 or something, or how does?
You get to roll 3 dice and take the 2 highest.
Oh, excellent. I like that. Okay. All right. So Alkaline is going to try and do that. And
what do you want to roll with?
Now that was the next thing I was going to try and figure out. I'll say that she is she's basically making use of her elemental abilities. I think maybe power might be the right way to go.
Okay, let's have you roll.
Okay, 10.
Look at that. You are on it. So there's that, you put it, on the door frame. You can kind of start to pull him out. It will slick the werewolf down with dishwashing liquid type things. And yeah, you can absolutely get him out of here. No problem. Easily done. This does bring me to a question that I have. This is a question for Janie and for Echo. So this is a werewolf. And unlike you guys, he looks like a werewolf to other people. So how are you dealing with that part of the problem?
Oh, it's actually not very hard because this is a Ren fair and there are lots of people dressed in costume. So all we have to do is make it look like this is a really weird, like someone, like a cosplayer showed up.
So you're going to
Quick, tie a bow on it.
Yeah,
Okay.
essentially, yeah, exactly. Put a bow on his tail and like a bikini top on the thing, so he
We
looks
could
like a
make
furry.
you make like a big fake zipper to go down his back.
Because Echo is exactly the person to do that.
So that seems like another sort of standard stay strong to do that. And Janie, if you're helping him out, I think we can easily have you roll with advantage on that. Doesn't that seem fair?
Yes, I think it seems fair.
Echo, you're the artistic person. You're getting that fake zipper, getting a little bow and little Ren Fair collar, Elizabethan collar on him. And
Let's go with power. This is I don't have calm, but I do have taking control of the situation. How about that?
That seems great.
Did you say was that advantage?
Yeah, look at that.
Cool.
There's almost no chance that you could fail now.
Haha, you say that. But I got a 6.
Got a 6. All right.
Oh no.
So the good news is you get to mark XP.
I get a move.
Let's see now.
Just because we've had confusions about this and done it different ways, is a stat being marked here? How's that working?
Oh,
I want to get that in my head.
It's only marked if I tell you to mark it as part of this. I don't think you need to mark it for this. I think instead what happens is as you two are getting him up, because the two of you are getting him to get dressed.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's when you go to put that collar on him.
Oh, that was a step too far, wasn't it?
That's when he wakes up.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's definitely one of those with like a snap. So there's this loud click as it closes, and
that's when the eyes, big orange eyes, come open, snarling snout, and he's covered in goo from the door frame
and magical vomit.
And torn clothing. Like there's streamers of the clothing he was wearing when he transformed in there. I think that's the moment, him waking up, covered in goo, you two kind of falling back as he wakes up, that Fade, they must be over, and you will see that tableau. What do you do, Fade?
Well, I immediately hide.
Okay.
And I think I'm very confused because it looks very scary.
Mm-hmm.
So basically they have a shape-changed werewolf who is waking up inside the park that's going to be angry. I picture that he has this costume that they've tried to put on him, but it doesn't look great, and he looks very angry.
That is the fairest assessment I could have of the situation.
So I think, in the shadow of the porta potties, I think I kind of pop out and say, run away, and then fade back in. And I think that's about it. I don't see anything else.
Okay. I think that we can come back to you. I don't think you're necessarily supporting them.
No, not at this point.
In this.
Unless they decide to run away.
Yeah, you are definitely keeping yourself safe. So when it all goes terribly wrong here in just a moment, you are not going to get torn to pieces.
Oh,
Jeannie, you were helping out with the costuming when it all went bad.
Mm-hmm.
And this thing is woken up. What do you do? And then I'm going to cut to Alkaline. God damn it.
I think what she does is she pushes Echo away and puts herself in front and goes like this, like she's standing there going, "Don't," and that's essentially all she's doing. But she's like pushed him away and put herself in front of him.
So you want to try and kind of maybe conflict?
I don't know, conflict, but
Well,
maybe
conflict is also emotional and social sort of control.
Okay, sure. I will try to essentially give him something to react to, as in to give him a pause.
Okay. Then what do you want to roll with? Give him a pause. I get it.
Fear, I think, is actually absolutely appropriate.
It seems
here.
really appropriate right now.
Yes. Why? Okay. Okay, re-rolling. A 9 plus 2 is 11.
That is awesome. You get to pick 3 from the conflict list.
Oh, dang it. I hate these moves where I have to read a move. Okay. Let's see here.
Now you have to roll to read the move.
Yeah, I know.
On 7 to 9, you only get half the info.
On a hit, I pick 3. So
Yes.
I avoid reprisals, harm, or a cost.
Okay, so if he's getting up and the claws are out, he's not going to smack at you.
I create an opportunity for my allies.
Okay.
And I confuse them for some time.
So this werewolf has just woken up. Okay,
Yes.
they're still kind of in that nightmare state.
Right.
They're still transformed even out here in this. They're looking down, almost sense that it can't quite tell if it's still in the nightmare because it's vomit covered. It's got this frilly collar on. There's a bow on its tail. There's this weird zipper thing which isn't particularly comfortable, stuck with spirit gum on its back, and it's like and sort of staggering around. The camera shot is at the spinning around it. It's like clearly got the bed spins, and there probably is, when it kind of finally comes to, there's probably another one of those that comes out at the end like a
I'm there for him. I'll hold his hair.
Okay. Alkali, what are you doing?
Okay, so the werewolf wakes up, just
Kinda
is completely out
stands-
of sorts, is spinning around, and ends up basically in the middle of a howl, vomiting all over the ground again.
Yes. Hork. Yeah.
Okay. Alkali is going to try and in an effort to try and maybe and I don't, in an effort to maybe sort of get him back on his equilibrium, maybe in a place where he can be reasoned with. What she wants to do is basically, and this is going to sound horrible, but she wants to immediately like spritz him all of that stuff off of him, so that the scent's not in his nose anymore.
Okay.
Basically, just like conjure the element and just like whoosh, just rinse that stuff off of him.
Okay. I think that's going to be a stay strong. I think it's pretty easy for you to do. But let's do a stay strong in case there are some consequences. Regardless, you're going to do it, but let's see if there's any kind of price on it.
Okay, and let's see. I think she's going to roll. They're going to roll with sorrow, because this is horribly reminiscent of what they were forced to do during their durance, and doesn't really like it.
No, not at all.
Seems like the best thing to do. Two dice, 6. Get a 5. Plus 1
5
is 6.
So the good news is you get to mark XP.
So, all right.
And the bad news is you do wash him down, and that wet dog smell does come, and it's at that point that you'll be struck by the sound of a ah! And you will see Sarah No Tears come flying through the air, and come crashing down into the porta potties, shattering them there, and she's kind of laid out in the midst of waste and plastic, and all of that kind of thing. And it sounds like there are some people coming this way who just threw her over here. So, Echo.
All right, so Janie had pushed me out of the way, and the two of them seem to have the whole werewolf situation handled. I'm sure they've got that. And so I was turning around. I'd seen the porta potty with that like shining moon lamp in it. I was like, oh, okay, just it'll be all right. Just don't breathe. Start like tiptoeing forward through the trail of slime and vomit to try and get in there. And I think just when I'm climbing up on the bench to get at the lamp, because of course, like I'm not tall enough to just reach it. Like that's when so picking myself up from, I'm just not going to describe what I'm picking myself up from. It's not good.
All right.
But I think that light bulb is still like wah, wah, glowing on whatever piece it's attached to, and I start climbing over oh crap, what's her name?
Sarah No Tears?
Yeah. I start crawling over No Tears to get over to this thing and try and do something about it.
Okay, yeah, because you get 3 more werewolves coming this way who you probably don't want to be in the light of this moon lamp.
I would really prefer not. Okay.
I think you're going to need to stay strong to get that light bulb out of there in the midst of all of this chaos.
This is definitely fear all over. Come on, dice. You like me, right? You don't like me. That's a 6.
So I think you're going to mark that stat this time.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And I think what it is you get your hand on it, and you're like, as you're touching, you're like, oh, I hope they didn't put any kind of protection on this. And it's at that point that you feel like magic or something they put on it, kind of stick your hand to it, and the bulb comes out, but it's still going, and it's stuck to your hand.
Ah, is it like sizzling hot sort of stuck, or like glue stuck?
Like glue stuck. So, Fade, before the werewolves come, let's see what you're doing.
So I think I'm going to. What I want to know is, do I know enough about what's going on to tell that the bulb that Echo is holding is a moonlight kind of bulb?
Yeah, I'll say that seems reasonable.
Oh, okay.
So given her focus on the situation, the fact she's pulled it out and it's still going, I think you can tell that there's something odd about that.
So I think the first thing I want to do is I want to get rid of that, and I think it would be to shove it into a shadow someplace or surround it by shadow.
Okay.
I don't have anything to manipulate shadows, but I have something to. I have a move that puts things into shadows.
And I would let you do that, except that it's stuck to his hand.
I kind of like to do that too. I put his whole hand in there.
Well, it's you're kind of. I think what I'm gonna give you another option, because this thing is made to be the sort of the small object thing. I think this is actually be invoke contract for you, kind of trying to use your power to manipulate to get the shadows on there.
Yeah, perfect.
Okay,
That
so
sounds
you
great.
mark clarity.
Okay. Okay.
And then tell me what you're rolling with.
So I'm going to, I think I pick up his fear and realize how scared he is. And there's this whole realization that rolls over me as I saw these werewolves coming this way. And I saw Sarah No Tears come through, and this is going to be bad. So I'm going to roll with fear. And this is invoke contract.
Yes.
And I have advantage from before.
Yes. Look at that. Good call.
And I have a 13.
13. So it is no problem for you to dim this bulb before they get there. So these other three that come will not transform when they walk into this thing. Does that seem fair?
Yeah.
Okay. What does that look like?
So what it actually looks like is, she's been hiding out in the shadows right next to the porta potty. They just got smashed, and she kind of sees Whispering Echo, grab a hold of this bulb, unscrew it, and then it's stuck to his hand. And you see kind of the shadows wrap around it. And I think to a normal person, this would look like maybe a rag or a dark cloth or something like that. But it's this whispery shadow-looking thing. Yeah.
Okay. So, Janie, you kind of got this thing sort of, shaken. It's not reacting, but it's over the shoulder after Sarah No Tears comes smashing into the porta potties, and this whole thing comes down. You will see these three figures pushing their way through the crowd, like belligerently, and definitely coming this way. They're probably within eyesight. What do you want to do?
Let's see here. I'm right here by the werewolf, and I go,
yes.
I go, some of your friends are approaching. Do you want them to see you like this?
Ooh, interesting. All right, now. Let's see. I think you did pretty well on the last one. You got 3 successes on that last thing, right?
Yes.
The werewolf looks at you and goes,
okay.
It can't puke anymore. It's just come out of the nightmare. It's drunk. Its friends are coming.
Okay.
It's not supposed to be transformed out here in daylight. It doesn't understand what's going on.
Okay, and she puts her hand around its shoulder and takes it sort of around the other place, and she'll look for like, what do you say? There's probably like a ton of tablecloths and stuff around, and pull one of those up so he can wrap himself up and kind of sit down and get pulled together.
All right.
What I want to do is lead him through essentially the tents and the back thing of the Ren Fair to kind of go to the Lost and Found and find him some clothes, get him to a quiet place where he can transform.
Okay. Are we doing this sort of standard moving, or do you have you invoking contracts or anything?
Let's see here. Oh, how about if I do a sort of a flock thing, like the leader of the pack, where I essentially just do that sort of, I'm leading him and he just follows me, and I kind of cut through everything because I'm in the front of the pack.
Sure.
Does that make any sense?
Let's do that as an escape.
Okay, sure. That sounds good. Yeah.
Okay. What do you want to roll with?
Let's see here. That's probably power. Because at this point, I'm being what I've learned, right?
Okay. Yeah.
So it's going to all go terribly wrong, but I want to try.
Yes. Terribly wrong.
9.
9. So what do you want as your choice? You get away.
Okay.
But you can suffer harm, meaning you mark that stat. You can end up in another dangerous situation. You can leave something behind, You can owe someone a debt, or you can mark clarity.
I think you know what? I think that in the midst of this, without realizing it, he's all covered with that slippery stuff, and that pinky ring that she just found, it's like not used to her anymore, and it actually comes off and drops on the ground. How's that?
Perfect. And what's the significant thing you come away with, though?
Oh,
Because that's your special move.
oh, yeah. I actually take that light bulb from Whispering Echo as we go.
Perfect. That's your move. That's a special ability. It's absolutely, you get that out. You're able to get that glue off, and you get him away. So, Sarah, no tears on the ground. Alkali, you're there. Echo, you're there, and these three imposing figures walk up. They look. I mean, they've got patched flannel and jeans and stuff, and that sort of old. Their boots, are kind of scuffed and bent, and they walk up, and they can clearly smell, or rather, would normally be able to clearly smell their friend, but we've got the combination of the porta potty and also that Alkali has spritzed him down and removed that scent from the area. So they walk up, and they look at you two. They don't see Fade because Fade is hidden, but they see you two, and they don't see you as changelings, so they don't see your mien. They see your mask. And what do you look like again in your mask form, Alkaline?
Alkaline looks sort of like young, androgynous, sort of college student age, and sort of dressed in like loose pants and a loose, almost blousey shirt.
Okay.
And since it's a Ren fair, the blousey shirt is a lot like frillier than it would normally be. Like she wasn't really sure about that it was really a Ren fair, so she almost went sort of vampire Victorian kind of.
Okay. The woman looks at you and goes, "Hey, you barista."
Alkaline looks around. No, the coffee is that way.
Where is our friend?
Is your friend the one that did this? And she points at the destroyed porta potty. Because somebody needs to pay for that.
And there's a hackles rise up. And she'll walk forward to kind of get in your face. You want to kind of try and stand up to her?
Alkali's in it now, so yeah.
Okay. So she is gonna she's like, does that thing where she kind of gets in your face, and she's like, you and your kind that came here, these woods are ours. Whatever sort of game you're playing, luring our people down here, we'll show you where the woods are. We'll show you the mushroom circle are, where we bury your kind. But you want to kind of get back.
Alkali says, look, we didn't invite anybody here. Whoever came here and did this is not invited. And if they showed up without being invited, they're uninvited. We got enough trouble. I've got to deal with the freaking licensing people from the Department of Revenue. I've got to deal with everything else here. I don't like it. I didn't want to be here. I don't even know how to dress for this damn thing.
Let's have you roll conflict. That's our social conflict. You're trying to impose your will on her to get her to back down. What do you want to roll with?
I think, paradoxically, I think that Alkaline is going to roll with calm, because this is her basically asserting really more mundane interests into this that she's had to deal with, that she really hates. And that's what she's using to sort of power this back. She's had to do all of this mundane crap that she didn't really want to do. She didn't want to have to come to this thing, but it's a function, and by God, she had to. And she's just going to put all that frustration right back at this person.
All
right.
And I'd like to try and support her with that.
Oh, excellent. So let's start with you then. Let's do the support action from you, Echo. Describe to me how you're helping.
So how I'm helping is trying to throw off her emotional state more and make sort of a bit of a peace gesture to her. And out of all of this detritus, like I pull up one of the torn pages from my sketchbook, which was that like drawing of her and her fiance, husband, whatever, out there under the moonlight looking all like wedding bliss and everything, but the corner where that guy is like rending his shirt and howling has gotten torn off. It's sort of messed up, but the main picture is still nice. So I'm like holding it up and trying to get her attention with it and being like, look, see, we're trying to make something nice for you.
All right, so what do you want to roll your support with?
Oh geez, I'm out of stuff. Joy. I'm trying to make her happy with her lovely special day.
Okay.
I'm not great at joy. Ooh, but that's a 7.
So on a 7 to 9, you're going to share consequences. Now you can either do a trust, which you can spend to give advantage.
That's what I was going to go for.
Okay, so that'll give you advantage then. You have advantage. You get to roll 3 dice on this alkaline.
Okay. Let's see how this goes. 9 plus 2, 11.
11. Okay, so you get to choose 3 things from the conflict list.
Okay, and let's see, is conflict in the, there it is, okay.
Basically, yeah.
All right, number 1, I'm going to avoid reprisals, harm, or cost.
Okay.
Number 2, I get what I want from them.
Okay, so that you get them calmed down. Your intentions were to calm them down so that they're less aggressive here. They kind of do take a step back. They realize in the middle of a bunch of people that they have come into your place of power. Maybe there's some rethinking going on. And what else?
And also, I want to confuse them.
Okay.
Basically, I want them to stay out of sorts for a while until we have a chance to really get this mess sorted out. Okay,
so they're like, they're talking amongst each other, like what should they do and so on. But it makes it clear they want their friend, but they are kind of discussing how they want to handle this. So does that seem like a fair cop for the confusion?
I think so.
Okay, so let's cut to Fade. Looks like Alkaline and Echo have gotten these 3 werewolves calmed down. Sarah No Tears is starting to get up, and she does not look happy.
So Fade kind of steps out of the shadows next to Sarah No Tears and said, "Run away, run away." I think that so it looks like this situation's kind of under control.
For the moment, yes, unless something bad happens.
Okay. I think that Fade is going to suggest to Sarah No Tears, it was like, you should go talk to Janie Magpie. She took, the other one away, and he might still be dangerous. Let's go this way. And I'm gonna go in that direction.
Okay. So you want to try and calm down Janie Magpie's anger?
I want to get Sarah No Tears to go.
Or sorry, No Tears anger. I'm sorry.
Oh,
yes,
yeah.
I apologize.
Mm-hmm.
So that's a support thing. So
okay.
Essentially you want to clear that anger that otherwise she'd be acting on.
Okay. So I don't think this is fear again. She's Winter?
She is Winter.
Yeah, so okay, I'll roll with sorrow. I think that this is I don't she's treated me poorly in the past, and I think that she might do that in the future, but it's the best way I see to help to get this situation better under control is to make sure that we take care of the werewolf that's been taken away.
Okay.
So let's see what that looks like. That's an 8.
It's an 8. So she hears you. She's angry. Wizards are always angry. They're always angry in their own particular way. But she does recognize reluctantly that Alkaline and Echo have the situation under control, and she'll get herself up from what she's laying in and will go with you to where Janie Magpie is. Does that seem fair?
Yeah.
Okay. Janie.
Glass of water.
Yes. I know where all the water is. Come on. And essentially, behind all of these tents, they go through there. She finds one of the places that's closed down because it's like a breakfast place, and it only runs during that, and then they clean it during the afternoon and then reopen it. She gets in there. She gets him some water. They sit down at one of the little tables.
To get that taste out of his mouth?
Mm-hmm.
Why am I?
She goes, I think someone set you up, but we don't know who.
He couldn't be a wolf right now.
I know. What does it take for you to come back out?
Blood.
Blood?
If it's like this, yeah, blood.
What kind?
Blood. Babies are best.
No.
No, kidding. Just blood. You got blood around, you know.
She kind of stops and goes, well, okay, if that'll help. And she'll go and get a knife out of the drawer. And she goes, okay, do you need like how much?
Whoa. You got like an uncooked steak?
Oh.
Don't.
Why didn't you say that? She's sort of and she'll go back there in the breakfast place, and she goes, well, I got lots of sausage. I've got bacon. Oh, we got flank steaks over here. Will that work?
Just bring me the bin.
Okay. And I do.
And that's the thing is he will take the flank steak, like the bin that you've got, you know how the liquids and the blood kind of run off in the bottom?
Yep.
He will kind of pull open the plastic, and he tips the bin to pour all of that, the water and blood and juices essentially into his gullet there.
Okay.
And he'll start kind of, as soon as he does it, he'll start kind of becoming less hirsute.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe a little more ashen. The one thing you'll hear is that as the hair on his back kind of bends as he shrinks from that spirit gummed zipper that you stuck on the back of him.
Uh-huh.
And he's like, ow, wow, what did you guys do to me?
Oh, and she goes, we thought we were going to have to move you out around people when you still look like a werewolf, so we were making it look like a costume. And she'll pull it off. And she goes, I'm so sorry. We were trying to get you to a safe place.
And it's probably as he's kind of shrinking down to normal upset size that Fade and Sarah No Tears will arrive.
All right.
And he's like, oh, who are you guys?
Oh.
Is everything okay, Janie?
Yeah. See, we got clothes and he can fit in them now. And this is This is my friend Fade, and this is our doctor, No Tears.
Oh, I don't need a doctor.
Oh,
Don't believe in
good.
doctors.
They didn't know if I would need a doctor.
Okay, well, that makes sense. And once he changes back, he has that sort of woodsman-like look. He's got blackened fingernails. And he's got that thing where people who work outside a lot and are working with grime or grease or whatever have it. So it's kind of the various wrinkles on their skin show, darkened from that. And he's kind of caught himself. He'll pull himself into the Ren Fair pants and vest that you've got for him. And he's like, I should probably go.
Okay. Oh, we've got some sandals here.
Oh no, those are Crocs. No, I don't wear Crocs.
Okay. Well, everyone has a line they draw.
You have like flip flops or something.
Oh, probably. And she'll go back and look for those. Oh yeah, here.
They're probably mismatched.
Yeah.
puts it again. Hirsute, big toes. Everything's kind of slightly dirty and dingy about this guy. And he looks like he's big, probably be pretty nasty, but he's clearly just absolutely exhausted. All of this process and stuff, and now he smells less like vomit because of the cleaning off, and more like blood.
Okay.
And let's cut back. You've got this guy calmed down, taken care of. Let's cut back to them, and the woman says to you, Alkaline, get our friend for us, and we will leave. Like, they've clearly thought very hard about this. Like, they've talked for a while about exactly what they're going to say, and this is what they've come up with after all of their talking.
I like this plan. We'll find your friend. You want to wait for us at the entrance?
Well, Echo will hold up that picture of a beer and sort of, drink and sort of shake it with this look that's very much like, hey, do you want to like sit down, have a drink, wait this out?
He turns over and like yanks that picture out of her hand and like tears it up. No. Wait for us at the entrance.
Just to be clear, on a meta level, like I'm giving you an opportunity to try and sick them on Semolina in public if you want.
No, I'm worried about there being more of that beer floating around.
They do. There's a thing here. One of the two guys say, there was a turkey leg thing by the entrance. We can go wait there, but a turkey leg place. And she's like, well, we will. but only because, and they turn and go. So like they don't finish that thought, but they head to the entryway.
Okay, we go and try and find Janie wherever she ran off to with the other one.
Okay.
Oh, and just as we're leaving, Echo will hold up a finger and turn back and go back over to the porta potty area, or at least what used to be the porta potty area.
Yeah.
And he pulls up the sort of like tattered remains of his sketch pad and does a little sketch and then props it up and leaves it there. And it's just like the yellow caution maintenance sign, like out of order, smiley face.
And so you two will be able to come over to the breakfast tent. Essentially, it's the bishop's buffet there that you've got there, and you will see Janie and Fade and this guy who's dressed in the most mismatched Ren Fair souvenir clothing that could be found.
Okay, Alkali walks up and says, some friends were looking for you. We told them to wait for you by the entrance.
Oh. They didn't leave yet?
No, I think they're not going to leave until they know you're okay.
Oh, this is not my day. Um, all right. Well, I'll go.
They're
We'll
by the
walk
turkey
around.
leg place if that makes you feel better.
Oh God. Well,
Oh,
Maybe not. Maybe not. You got the bucket right there. You got the bucket right there.
no. We're good. I don't think I'll be able to eat for a while.
I do have one question for you.
Yeah. I know. Huh?
Something you apparently drank really disagree with you. Do you remember where you were when you last remember drinking anything?
Oh, let me think. I was over at the tent, and they had some of the butter beer, which doesn't seem to be authentic because that's like a Harry Potter thing. But anyway, yeah, it's just but they had somebody gave me they had a whiskey, like a fireball whiskey thing, and I drank that, and I God, I didn't feel good after that.
Remember what that person looked like? The one that was giving out the Fireball whiskey.
Uh, yeah, she had a lot of assets.
Right.
That's sort of what I noticed.
I know who it was. I'm
Yeah.
gonna give her such a punch.
Okay. All right. Do you want us to walk you over to the entrance, or are you going to be okay to walk over?
No, you should let me go by myself.
You want to there's a wash sink over here that the folks have been using to clean cooking utensils. If you just want to wash the blood.
Oh yeah. He'll wash himself up. He'll grab the stuff and he'll kind of brace himself on the sink, kind of get himself together. And he said, "I owe you guys."
Just be careful. You got a rough night. It looks like.
Yeah.
As he walks by, there'll just be a lean in and a very quiet whisper from Echo of, "Yes, you do."
And yeah, there'll be that you'll feel that little bond, that changeling contract lock when you do that, so that you have a debt on him.
What's his name?
No one's asked him.
I think that Fade. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Oh, go on, Fade.
Fade leads in and says, "I think we can take you out of the fair, so that you are down the entranceway, and your friends can see you, and then join you then."
No, you done enough. Let me do the walk of shame. My name is Roland.
Hope you feel better, Roland. Sorry you had apparently a really bad time at the fair.
Oh, yeah. Just wanted some roasted corn. And he will walk off down the main way to go and join up with his friends there.
Okay. Not following him exactly, but off in the distance where I can hopefully be in view of his friends, but not him. Like, as he's walking up, they can see me back in the background, just sort of nod and lean my head towards the exit.
And those three are there. They've each bought a turkey leg, the barbecue flavor, the sort of hot wing turkey leg, and they're gnawing on it. And when they see him coming, they're like, "Ah ha ha ha!" And they are pointing at him and laughing. And he kind of puts his head down, and yeah, they don't stop laughing at him until they get out of the fairground there.
And Lowell, when we're kind of after that, I will put into Sarah Notier's ears, I will question why questions so loud who's in charge of security let those werewolves in to begin with. Because if anyone will take it to the top, it will be her.
And Alkali walks over. Since Sarah Notiers is there, and probably a little out of sorts after all this insanity, somebody served that freaking werewolf Hades plum whiskey.
I don't want to get in the middle of all this. God damn you motherfuckers. Just go.
Also, somebody made a light bulb that apparently triggers werewolf transformations.
I'll show it to her. People could have been killed.
This was a big-ass setup. Not just us. Like, half the people at this fair could have been killed before we were able to contain that thing if it would have gone crazy. And the werewolf said whoever gave him the whiskey last night had large assets. I'm presuming he means
Gloriana.
physical.
He says you should go talk to a prince. I will see what I can find out about the alcohol portion of the program. Good?
Good.
She goes, I still don't know how I got in the middle of all of this. She kind of looks around at all of you.
And
I think the werewolves threw you into it.
She kind of looks, maybe gives the side eye to Fade. Yeah, that's all that happened.
You were
And she
lucky to
turns the
survive.
other-
I'm betting whoever's in charge of security owes you a big favor.
Well, we'll see about that. Yeah. She kind of turns, and again, she is in her mien. She is half sort of normal person, half anatomical dummy. That sort of layered skin thing. And so when she turns, that anatomical dummy sort of glass eye follows you, Fade, until she finally heads off.
I think Fade's kind of steps behind people and into the chat.
I love that the Darkling is actually terrified of the weird dummy eye.
So with that in mind, who do you guys want to go talk to?
I want to go talk to Abyssinian Max to tell him we actually fixed his werewolf problem. We did not clean up the porta potties, but that wasn't our job. Our job is to get rid of the werewolf.
Okay. So let's cut to the Winter Court meeting then. Hi, hey. Oh, what is that? What is that wonderful smell you brought in with you?
That is wet. That is formerly wet werewolf. That werewolf that we got rid of for you. In spite of someone's best efforts to really screw up this Ren Fair.
Good. That sounds good. Sounds like you did your jobs.
Yep. Someone else didn't do theirs though.
There were 4 werewolves. They were scary.
I'm sorry, what? Could you please repeat that for me, Fade? Because you're very, very quiet what you just said there. I thought I heard you say 4 werewolves.
Yes. Yeah. 4.
There were 4. I had to basically argue 3 of them away while we hid the other one until we could get it turned back into its human form, which is apparently not very easy.
And they did a very good job of it. They handled 3 by themselves. I'm saying. Very good job.
All right.
Echo will just enigmatically hold out the light bulb.
Yeah, that was part of somebody's setup on that one werewolf that had transformed. Also, someone had fed him Hades plum beer. Or whiskey.
And Abyssinian Max looks at the bulb, and you see him stop. He takes his cigar out. He sets it on the ashtray, and he'll kind of turn this over in his hands. And he'll look at you there, Echo, and he will say, why don't you just leave this in my hands? And I'll take care of it. He clearly see him kind of put 2 and 2 together. Maybe he knows what's going on here. And he's asking you to hand this over, and he will take care of it.
And in one of Echo's eyes will be like the reflection of this silver moonlight as he looks up very slowly and leans into him and says, for the clearing of our debts, certainly.
consider our debts cleared then.
And Echo will hopefully let go of the light bulb, which surely doesn't have any more glue.
Says, look, the summer court has been itching for more pull and responsibility here at the fair. And I very much suspect that this was a gambit to raise the stakes on security. But that seems to have failed. So give me the bulb, and this gives me some leverage. And he'll turn and he'll look at the rest of you. He's clearly made his deal with Echo. What about you three? Are we on the same page?
And Janie leans forward and she goes, Gray would never have let werewolves through. Question so loud did. That at least has to be said.
Alkali nods to him and says, "No more cleanup."
Fine. You're off cleanup. Janie, you're a bright young thing.
Mean fade. She is talking to Janie?
Talking to Janie.
She's already asked. She
Okay.
just said that question so loud has to be called up.
Okay. If I will make that cornerstone of whatever I push on. Fade. You know, I haven't always seen eye to eye.
Okay.
What do you think?
I think we just don't need any more trouble here.
You put it in my capable paws, and we'll all be good.
That's fine.
Good, good. Well, I think all of you have earned a day off. So you go enjoy yourselves at the Ren Fair or in town or whatnot. And kind of spins the light bulb around, and I will look into this. And he will send you on.
Echo will nod and turn and sort of squish slowly out of the tent.
That sounds good. I think we're kind of at the end of session here. Does that seem like a good place to stop?
Yeah.
I'd love to go on, but I think we're kind of at that last 15 minutes, and I think we're at a good spot here. So just to in going through, what I want to do is talk mechanics with the end of session experience, go through that. And then I'd like to just do a quick go around and see mechanical questions, things noticed about that, and get some impressions from you, Chris. It's the first time you're playing with this particular version of it. And then talk about things you guys liked or want to see more of. Is that okay?
That's good.
So XP, where is the end of session XP? Thanks. Okay. So everybody gets to clear a state. You get to clear one of your stats. So Sherry, did you risk or sacrifice to interfere with your rival?
Yes, I sacrificed my favor for him to get censure.
Okay. Yes, you can mark XP for that. Did you express your seeming or kith?
I think so. Yes, no, I don't know.
How so? Just
I think of it as being she was just echoey with her beloved. But the other thing is that she sort of jumped in there when it got kind of crazy and did the sort of draw the attention start. She didn't go full aggressive, but she jumped in there.
Okay.
In case she had to.
Did you express your season, which is fear, right?
I certainly used fear.
Okay.
I think
So I think so. Yeah, I think we put in a dangerous, fearful situation. So we'll give you that.
Now, do you see it that she should be using fear or that she should be in fear? I think do both of those work?
I think either one of them works. I say express in the most general sense that we see something about the way that what fear means to you in some ways.
Okay.
I don't think we dealt with your humanity particularly, or did we? What do you think?
I don't know.
Maybe the first exchange of photographs.
Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah, you're right. Thank you.
Oh, that was really good.
Yeah. Okay, so you get XP for each one of those.
Thank you.
Let's come to then to Alkaline. Alkaline, did you risk or sacrifice to interfere with your rival?
I kind of put us at risk rather than actually go and talk to someone who might have been an expert on brewing, which would have been Semolina.
Oh, but you were pointing the finger at her very strongly throughout. So I'm going to give you a point.
Okay. I wasn't sure if it was me basically taking the hit of refusing to go make contact with her about it. It was clearly the most qualified to do it.
Yeah, you definitely put Sarah No Tears at her very specifically and stuff. I think you were pointing the finger there. Did you express your seeming or your kith? Did you tell it about being an elemental or about being your particular kind of elemental?
I think action-wise, I think I did, because basically used the cleansing stuff and her liquid abilities extensively, especially in that part.
And talked, and here I'm going to actually kind of jump forward a little bit to your humanity. That discussion you had about not wanting to do it, I think that's reflecting your humanity, that reluctance to go back into that changing mode. So you can definitely mark that.
Okay.
Did you express your season?
I think that might have been part and parcel to her discussion of not wanting to go back, because that's a serious point of sorrow for her, as having to go back and put herself in that place where she's basically cleaning up other people's messes.
Okay. Yeah. I think that's absolutely right.
Does not like to be in that headspace, and that creates a lot of sorrow for her.
Yeah, I think that's a good idea. So mark XP for that. Good. Patrick, let's come to you and talk about Echo. Did you sacrifice or risk to interfere with your rival?
I don't think beck and call really came up this time.
Not this time. No, they could have tried to pin it on him, but no. Okay. Did you express your seeming or kith?
I think so. With the werewolf, it was, all about digging into his sorrow in that situation and trying to do something about it from either side.
Yeah. And your season?
I'm sorry. That's what I meant for that one.
That makes sense.
With my kith, yeah, I tried really hard to. I think there was only twice when Echo actually said something this time.
The drawings
that was one of my goals.
Drawings were great. Great detail. Really nice.
Cool.
Did you express your humanity?
I'm not sure about that one.
Maybe a little bit less this time. You have before. I don't think we hit that as much this time. Well, then let's think early on. Now I'm going to give you that because you had the whole section about your reaction to Gray, and that being a problem early on. I think that was strong.
Cool.
Fade. What about you?
Your
sacrifice to interfere with your rival? Yes. Put Sarah No Tears right in the middle of it.
Yeah.
You expressed your seeming or kith. Absolutely. You were a darkling. You held yourself back. You were terrified. I think that's worth an XP. Do you express your season?
Season is autumn, so that's fear and magic. Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And did you express your humanity?
Maybe only the pictures at the front.
Oh yeah, definitely.
No, definitely.
That's definitely worth a point.
Okay.
Okay. So that's all the end of session XPs. What I'd like to do is I want to go around and talk mechanical questions or mechanical things, thoughts on that, and then I want to talk sort of the play, things you liked at the play or things you want to see more of. So I want to talk mechanics. Let me tell you something I'm thinking about. This is just off the top of my head here is I combined to make the conflict move all together as one thing. I need to do something, I think, either split that out into physical and social again, or mark some of the options differently. It feels like it's maybe a little bit too big right now from my GM's perspective.
Wow.
When I was using it as a player, it did, however, let me choose options that I wanted. Does that make any sense?
Okay.
Does that make when I was doing that, I was like, oh, okay, this is what I wanted to do. A lot of times those conflict moves, all you've got are these sort of overly harsh things, or you don't have the chance to do non-lethal whatever you're doing. That everything's a killer move. So it was nice to have a lot of options on, and that it was generating options for yourself or your allies. So it did roll up things in. But that was my first thing. It's maybe not as flavory as it could be, but it definitely gave a useful set of options, like what you would go into conflict to do, to protect someone, or to give someone a chance to do something, or to, hurt someone.
I agree. I liked it. I used it once. I think that you could take some of the choices in there and combine them, like you inflict harm is the first one, and the last one is you decide what condition they mark.
Oh, yeah.
I think that you could also do you create an opportunity for you or your allies, and you gain advantage. Those are kind of the same thing. You could include those together.
That's a good point.
But I like the one move for social and physical. I like it being a combined move.
Okay. That's good feedback.
And I agree with Sherry. I like the elegance of being able to tailor your response to a situation, so that even if you are in a full-on physical conflict, you can do a little bit of harm and then do some psychological damage with the rest of it, do some emotional attacks. Or, if you go into just doing a social conflict, it can get so nasty that you actually inflict harm by messing with one of their emotional stats.
Okay. I like that. Okay.
I really like that swinginess of it.
And also it lets you, as a conflict move, it can also lead you to, in a way that you can actually de-escalate as a part of the conflict move.
Mm-hmm.
Like if you choose your moves from that list in a way that lowers the aggro level, I guess, you could actually de-escalate something to the point where it's out of the physical realm entirely, or out of the conflict realm. You could actually break things off as a part of that move, which is pretty cool.
Mm-hmm.
Nice. Okay. Yeah, that's good feedback. I appreciate that. Sherry, anything else mechanical?
No, here's the thing is that it felt pretty good to me for what I was hitting today and the last few times. There's a few word kerfluffles in here that we still need to walk back and check, but copy editing is never done. So, but it's felt like we have a thing whenever it feels like the fiction needs that resolution point, where you have to go, okay, something's going to happen. How well is it going to go for me? But it doesn't feel like there's a ton of them popping themselves in and sort of unnaturally ending a scene. Does that make any sense?
That makes sense. Chris, this is the first time you've played with this particular iteration. You played in Tyler's game, right?
Right.
Okay. So any thoughts on the mechanics as you're seeing them right here?
I will say when I first played it, and I think the version I played with Tyler also had the emotional stats. That was a little tricky for me when I first came into it. I think I've gotten a much better handle on it now after having played through it a couple of times.
Okay.
But I keep expecting, in a similar vein to some of the other Powered by the Apocalypse games, that like a move would work with one stat best. But I like, after playing it a couple of times, I actually like the way of forcing you into thinking about how your character's really dealing with the situation. Like, are they going into combat out of anger, which is a natural kind of thing, or are they going into combat because they're really sad that they've been reduced to this particular? I mean, I like the psychological headspace you get to bring your characters in with that. So it works better than I initially thought it would, just when I first reviewed it.
And I will say this is very much ode to Fraser and the Veil. That is really borrowed from that, and it's changed up a little bit since then. But being able to do that, I really like the way that feels. So I'm glad you're finding it's working for you. Patrick, anything mechanical off the top of your head?
I'm really liking it. I like since we were talking about the emotional stats, I like the condensing down from the veil spikes to just mark or unmark, because the veil digs so much more into that particular emotional headspace and wants to live in that, where this, with all its like urban shadows mechanics, is pulling to some other focuses. So it's nice to simplify that to free up space for other things. Since we were talking about basic moves, I know intellectually the difference in the situations where you'd use inner turmoil and stay strong, but they still keep striking me as very similar moves.
Yeah, I need to think about that. I think there's a way to combine those and maybe have a clause where it says if you're dealing with your entanglements, or I think there's a way to combine those. I think you're right.
Like maybe maybe you have to do more picks from a list when it's an entanglement thing, or maybe it's just messier when it's an entanglement. I don't know. But I think those could be merged together somehow.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think you're absolutely right about that.
As far as like going forward with the story, I just wanted to highlight some of the stuff that I've been picking up as far as moves. I leveled up this time, and so I picked up Way of Thorns, which is with contracts I can play with memory. I've got that really like emotionally impactful and start to change people's views, artistic truth is beauty move. And I've got that sort of beginnings of memories from Fade. And so if it's okay with you, Stephen, I'd be really interested into moving into a story next time where I'm digging into more of that memory and maybe moving into trying to give something back to Fade, trying to change something in her mind, give her a stronger grip on her past.
Yeah, that'd be great. That'd be
fun. Oh, nice.
Okay. So I just wanted to throw that out there as a storyline flag.
That is awesome. Memory flag. Okay. And finally, Stephen, do you have anything mechanical you want to mention?
Yeah, I took advantage of a little bit of time and looked through some of the moves. So the first thing is I was a little confused last week about marking conditions. I think we clarified that, but I think that's something that's important. Just my experience was whenever I failed a roll, which I did many times last session, I marked just almost everything I had. Clearing the way that it worked whenever I was marking everything was at the end of the session I got to unmark something, which was good. And then we were able to work in a couple of unmarked this session, so it wasn't horrible, but it wouldn't be bad to lean on that more than just as taking damage or something like that. But it does seem too heavy to do it all the time. time.
Yeah, I think it just needs to be when I talk about whatever hard and soft moves are going to be for the GM in this, I need to be doing some thinking and talking about how those marking stats move into that.
I think that can also be like you could even call it out specifically as a GM nuance thing of like you need to keep in your mind the proportion of what you're doing. If you want to really go after people and hard move mark their stats all the time, then like as a GM you need to know that you've got to like force people into those talking heads, clearing conditions, little social scenes. Whereas if you want the story to be about other things that aren't constantly reducing down to let's clear condition scenes, then you go a little lighter on inflicting the conditions. The story can move other. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that does.
Almost like a Night Witch's day-night kind of thing.
Oh, interesting.
Yes.
Awesome.
Yeah. The other thing that I saw was, so I took advantage while we were discussing this to look through some of the basic moves and situational moves. And I'm a big fan of simplification or combining things. So there is debt, trust, and then there's also walk-in dream. And those we haven't seen a whole lot. We've seen some debts move. I would suggest combining trust and debt.
Yeah, I think trust is the one that's been on the cusp of getting cut because it's very much taken from masks.
Yeah, and I was wanting to ask you about that too.
Yeah,
I think to like. Do you want us to do a session where we play test that and really intentionally move into it, or are you just ready to move away from it?
If we're playing and enjoying ourselves and we're not encountering it, there's no need to have it. And so I think changing how support works a little bit and taking trust out, maybe a trust mechanic as a like a group move eventually is something that we could be put in. But I think right now, as a standard mechanic, it's just clouding the issue.
Or you could actually just make the trust a portion of the debt moves, where debt you gain something, with trust you give something.
I have to think about that. Yeah, no, that's not a bad idea. But yeah, definitely you're pointing at a thing that is, you're absolutely right, is wonky. You can see where all of the direct adaptations from other games creates issues.
One of the things you could also do with trust, I know Masks sort of builds on those team moments. Like you could do a beginning of session move to determine what the active trust pool is. Like, like how whenever they enter a conflict in Mass, they're like, does everybody agree who the team leader is? Does everybody trust the team leader?
Yeah.
Leader. I mean, you could go through that and sort of build up that pool and make it less about mechanically as part of the moves, but just have it be something that's narratively available. If people are able to come up with a rationale as to why they could apply it to a particular move.
Yeah.
Like you could still do the regular support moves because those figure in mechanically and fictionally really well, but have the trust be something like, the characters can use to do certain very particular things.
Yeah.
As opposed to just throwing it into almost to as a support option.
Yeah, and whatever, like if you did choose to retain that in a move, a start of session move is so much easier to remember than start of conflict.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think that it and the Hollow and some other stuff, it could be fun to build a set of motley moves that would mean that the players would go, okay, we really want this. And so it would show, rather than just having extra mechanics, something that they've chosen to have. A little bit like the group moves in Coriolis could be fun.
Now, I do think things like the dreaming mechanic and the hollow mechanics are definitely something that you would want there in something that played longer than 4 weeks.
Yeah, there is that too.
And I had a question. I mean, as a little bit of a Changeling nerd, not quite as deep into it as I know some folks are.
Sure.
One thing I was missing in the move list was like token options. Like, say, if you came out of the hedge with a token of some sort. I mean, those were some of the most fun things to weird up in some of the old White Wolf games. Is if you had a token or some other sort of hedge item or something. I didn't build a lot of color.
Yeah, I didn't build that in into because the moves are kind of could be in that fiction. That may be something I need to talk about, is the fact that maybe some moves are tokens that if you take them, and I might need to have something like that in the go into the hedge move.
Yeah, some Into the Hedge, and if you did want to combine things, maybe Into the Hedge and Into Dreams could go together in a sort of weird way.
Interesting. So that's all mechanical things to think about. So I just want to briefly talk about the combination of things you'd want to see more of or roses. Those two things. And I want to do my rose to start. Wow, you guys came together to create a really fun story today. Super fun, super one session incident. Everybody got into roles, played through, had a satisfying conclusion for me as the GM. So I want to say that was pretty. I like that. So I had a good time with that. Sherry, anything that you want to point to as you really liked, or something you'd like to see more of?
More of this game. I think the
Okay.
problem is that you aren't running enough sessions, and that needs to be rectified.
Okay.
True.
Okay. Point taken.
Poor Lowell, he runs all the time.
I do run all the time.
Not enough. Not enough.
Okay. All right. Well, fair enough. Chris, what about you?
Oh, I'll as I gave the double thumbs up to Jerry's comment, I definitely think this should be run more. Because I have had a hard time sneaking into this one. I was only able to sneak into this one session this time. So and I have that stupid alert set to pop up whenever something shows up on the Slack or on the Google Hangouts channel. But I had a ton of fun. Obviously, I'm not in the next session, so I won't really be able to do much with that. But I enjoy like the interpersonal interactions between the characters.
Mm-hmm.
That's works gangbusters. I love everybody, in spite of the fact that all changelings have a basic sort of similarity to each other, every character in this felt like they were just broken and twisted in their own little ways, not even kith-based ways.
Mm-hmm.
You know, each of them was a lot more individual than I think typically tends to happen in the White Wolf version of the game, because you're sort of channeled into the kiths as they've created them. So I like that a lot. Everybody just sort of had their own thing going, and it worked even better than a standard RPG party mechanic of healer, warrior, whatever. It worked perfectly. Even with all these weird broken people, they managed to actually build something that actually managed to work. I thought that was pretty cool.
And especially with a group that has very similar social dynamics in terms of that, which was great. Patrick?
Yeah, I'll say when I came into starting this game, I was like, okay, well, I'm bringing in sort of a weird character who has a hard time with conflicts and social things, so I hope that'll be okay with the rest of the group. And then I saw like the whole group is falling into this social misfit, unable to talk to strangers sort of thing. But that is somehow really worked. I was so afraid that would, like, I don't know, ruin our game in some mysterious, unknowable way. But it's really stacked on top of each other in a beautiful way. And we had some with Rich, where he acts as a sort of loud counterpoint to the rest of us. We had Alkaline here, who sort of fell more in with our social awkwardness level, and it worked both times in a beautiful way. Chris, I thought you were great at coming into this world and just slotting right into it in a way that, like, I was wanting to copy what you were doing at times on screen. I was wanting to join in with your stuff, and it was fun. Lowell, I'll say, like, much like the whole storyline, our last storyline had to do with holes that were appearing and everything, not WHOLE. But with the whole storyline and with this one, they both just sort of spun out of idle comments or unclear sort of scene hooks. And they both turned into really compelling storylines in the idea of playing this more than 4 sessions and getting a nice, good campaign out of it. Like, I would definitely love to see the next step up of that whole storyline when it comes back to Smack Us. I'm really interested in exploring the werewolf to changeling dynamics now, just from this little interaction. Like, these are great little campaign seeds that could do wonderful things going forward. And I just love how you've let them grow and sort of like nudge them towards better outcomes each and every time.
Yeah, no, it's some great. You guys gave me great material to work from. So let me just say that it's so interesting and unique. I'm going to give you, Stephen, last word.
So I want to start off with between this game and other friends who are posting pictures of Renaissance fairs, I really want to go to one now. It's been a year or two, and I'm like, oh, turkey legs and people in, frilly shirts. That sounds great. So the game, I really like the game. It feels very Changeling to me. It streamlines the mechanics that might have gotten in the way previously, but it seems like everything fits very well and pulls out the kind of story you would have in a Changeling game. I'm pretty happy with the number of sessions that we have because it kind of leaves me wanting, and I like that. And then I also want to specifically call out, I really enjoyed the echoing back of the conversation to Songbird Rex and all of that. I thought Sharon did a great job. And she's done that before. That's very subtle where, she'll just start repeating whatever the last word someone else says, and it just fits so well. It's so good. Yeah.
Yeah, it is solid. Well, thank you guys very much. Chris, amazing job coming in, plopping in third session to do and get a character fully expressed. So much appreciated. Thank you guys. And I'm going to stop the broadcast.